Welcome back, Irish fans. Breaking Out Brace Boys podcast. Notre Dame picks up a home win against Louisville to move to 17-7 total and into first place in the ACC. This one certainly wasn't pretty, but it says a lot about Notre Dame that they come out and find a way to win this game. I think the biggest difference between this team and past year's teams was on display tonight. They know how to grind out wins. They know how to find ways when they don't have it. Notre Dame didn't play all that well tonight. They didn't have Laszewski, and they just didn't really have it in general. Didn't shoot the three ball well. Shot 5 for 20 as a team. That's about 25%. And Notre Dame in past years has not won many games when they shoot 25% from three, but tonight they found a way. I think that says a little bit more about Louisville than Notre Dame. They're making a late push for the worst team in the ACC despite all the talent they have. And I'll get into that in a minute. But I think we need to give Notre Dame their flowers for find a way to get this one. It's a mark of a veteran group. They've found a way to kind of avoid the bad loss through the year, except for the BC game. And that's huge. That's almost as big as getting those wins like Kentucky and Miami, is just avoiding losses like this, because these kill you just as much as Kentucky and Miami help you in the long run. So big win for Notre Dame, even if it doesn't seem like they played all that well, which they didn't. But over the course of the year, they've kind of got the big stop when they needed to. They've hit the clutch shot. Or tonight they've got the string of stops and hit a few big shots to kind of put them ahead. Trey Wertz hit that layup. Prentiss Hubb hit that three that really kind of took the momentum back for Notre Dame. And they know how to stop runs. They know how to get the big stops when they need them. They can hit clutch shots. And that's been the mark of this team throughout the year. And that's why they're in such a great spot. And tonight that was evident. Even though they didn't have a great three-point shooting performance, even though they got killed on the glass, even though they just didn't have all that much energy throughout most of the second half and didn't really have a huge performance from anyone, but did have some good ones. Notre Dame still found a way with Red Panda in attendance. It would have been a real shame if they lost. But they found a way to get this one. And Louisville, like I mentioned, is kind of a disaster. First half just had no sense of urgency. Didn't really know the right buttons to push. I thought it was painfully obvious early on that if they went to the post and tried to work on the glass, then they would have probably given Notre Dame more of a run for their money than they did, and they were up for a while. But I think Malik Williams, not to dig into him too much, but he's kind of a microcosm of their team right now. He's got a lot of talent, can give you a lot of things, is physical, somewhat athletic, and just hasn't really produced at all. And tonight he did not have a great performance, obviously, and that was kind of a microcosm of Louisville, and it's been all season. Just a team that doesn't really play with much of a sense of urgency, is talented, but not talented enough to get away with stuff like that. And they got exposed tonight for that, just like they have all the past few weeks. This one certainly wasn't as pretty for either team as the one a few weeks ago was on that Saturday when Blake Wesley played one of his better games in Notre Dame. But tonight Notre Dame found a way, and the outcome was the same. So good one for the Irish, and it's good that they can just keep finding ways because, like I said, that's about as big as it gets. But you obviously noticed that they shot 25% from three, and it was huge that they didn't have Laszewski tonight. At first, when Louisville didn't seem to be pushing the right buttons, it kind of looked like they were going to get away, and you wouldn't really notice they didn't have Nate, especially if Zona played more. But they need him, and that showed tonight. They're going to need him in March if they're going to make any kind of noise. And this is not the type of team they're going to play at March, especially not at home. But with Nate, it's interesting because you can run a 4-round one. We talked about Nate a lot, but you can run a 4-round one with him, and he can rebound, and he can defend the post. He can stretch the floor. He can do a lot of things for you, and they missed that tonight. Obviously, Dane Goodwin can stretch the floor and give you pretty much all the same things offensively outside of – actually, he can give you the post-up stuff too, but on defense, that's when it really showed. And Laszewski is needed, and hopefully he's back Saturday. I'm not sure that he will be. I think they expect him to, but if he's not, that's huge, especially against a Clemson team that has kind of played through their bigs all year. So they're going to need Nate on Saturday, and tonight showed how valuable he is, and not having him kind of killed Notre Dame at times. And if they lost this game, it would have been because of the glass and just because of their them getting dominated physically down low, and they found a way to come out with it, but you can't consistently have that happen and expect to win a lot of games. That was evidenced by last year, and hey, they found a way, and the good thing is Nate will be back soon, and this is a short-term issue, but I think we're going to find out how appreciated Nate Laszewski is after this one. The last thing I have before I get into players is Notre Dame's balanced scoring attack. Early on, this was more so of a thing rather than late, but you got a lot from Cormac Ryan early, had 7 points all in the first half, didn't really give you much late, but Dane Goodwin had 16, Blake had 11, Trey Wertz had 5, Prentiss had 7, Atkinson had 17, and I think that I listed everybody, but everybody got theirs tonight. Seems like everybody's taking a piece of the pie now, and everybody seems to be chipping in when they need them to, and if you can get the whole team kind of going as you enter March and enter the postseason, that's huge. And obviously Atkinson, I think, was far and away the best player tonight, but there wasn't a guy really putting the team on his back all that much outside of Atkinson in the second half a little bit. But Notre Dame's got contributions from everybody. That 63 points was somewhat evenly spread around, and that's a good sign, I think, rather than one guy like Blake Wesley taking control and scoring like 25. Everybody's kind of spreading the love, and I think that's kind of what I was envisioning with this team in the preseason, and it has happened to an extent, but they've been at their best offensively when everybody's got it going, like on Saturday. And tonight they certainly weren't at their best, but they found a way to escape because everybody gave you something. Prentiss Hubb didn't really have it shooting-wise, but had 7 points, 5 assists, and helped him out a little bit. Didn't play all that well, but hey, you can take your lumps with Prentiss Hubb, and you win a game like that. With him not playing all that well, it's not a bad sign for your team. Blake Wesley had 11. I thought I don't know if he shot it all that well tonight, but let me see what 1 for 4 from 3. Had 11 points. He had a couple really nice drives, and I don't know that this was his best performance. I don't think he would tell you that, but it certainly wasn't as good as his first performance against Louisville, but still made some really nice plays, worked a mismatch on West, and then caught Malik Williams sleeping on the backdoor cut, which doesn't seem to be super hard to do nowadays, but good outing for him. Not his best outing, but you take what you can get from him, and tonight was a solid performance by him. Maybe not his best, but liked what I saw. The defensive intensity was good, and can't ask for all that much from him. Dane Goodwin was also really solid tonight. Got a lot of buckets when Notre Dame needed buckets and couldn't get them from anyone else. Contributed on the glass with 5 boards, 16 points. And, I don't know if he really contributed on the glass all that much. He got 5 boards, but he was in a bad spot playing the 4. And I think Nate would have been getting most of those minutes that he was playing at the 4 against a team like this. This is not the team you want to not play a second big against, which is why I thought Zona actually had a shot to play more minutes than he did tonight. He's not even listed on the box score I'm looking at. So Dane was in a bad spot tonight. He helped them a lot offensively, even though he had some athletic, long defenders on him. He still found a way to make plays. And Dane Goodwin is kind of like Notre Dame in the sense that even when he doesn't have it, he's still going to produce and he's still going to find a way to help the team. Notre Dame's found a way to win when they're not at their best, and Dane Goodwin's found a way to help the team when he's not at his best. So solid outing for Dane today. Cormac Ryan, I thought was doing it all in the first half, was a renaissance man out there. He was defending well. He was moving his feet, forcing turnovers, found guys, had 4 assists, 7 points all in the first half, and was coming up with deflections, steals, and pretty much doing it all. He did help him defensively in the second half, and he was also playing – I don't know that he was playing the 4, but he was on Withers for a while, which I thought was not an ideal matchup for him. He was kind of just throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it sticked, and it stuck enough. But he was okay tonight. I thought he really showed you what he could do, and solid outing for Cormac, one of his better ones recently. And he's been playing pretty good basketball lately. I don't know that he's ever going to be the scorer that I think he's capable of being, but tonight's a microcosm of what he can do for you, and solid outing for him. The main guy, though, tonight was Atkinson, 17 points, 15 rebounds, 11 on the defensive glass. And I think the main thing for him tonight, the rebounding is obviously huge. 17 points always huge, but stay out of foul trouble. Notre Dame would have been in a horrible spot if he was in foul trouble like they were on Saturday playing 5 guards. I suppose they would have had Zona tonight. He was readier than he was on Saturday, but Atkinson staying out of foul trouble and just being available for Notre Dame was huge tonight. And obviously when he was available, he was really producing for him. Matt Zona, I would like to touch on also. I don't have any stats of him. I don't think he got on the stat sheet, but I think Louisville tried to go after him a little bit with Jalen Withers, and I think they tried to go at everybody with Jalen Withers, but I don't think he's fully ready. I also don't think he's a complete liability, though, and I think he really could have helped them late, but they kind of put themselves in a spot where they couldn't play him late. You can't just throw a sophomore with no experience out there ice cold at the end of the game and expect him to do anything for you. I don't love how he was handled tonight by Bray, but have I loved that all year? Not really. I thought he really could have helped him tonight. And I thought if him and Atkinson were on the floor, obviously the offense wouldn't have been as spaced out. I think Zona can shoot it, though, which is the weird thing. It's like they haven't used that part of his skill set. That's part of the reason they liked him so much out of high school was that he can shoot it, but they haven't really tapped into that part of his game yet, and I hope we can see that next year. But Zona, you didn't see much from. Played like 4 minutes tonight, and isn't on the box score, which is what they need. Tells you what you need to know about his statistical performance, but I don't think he's a complete liability. Just looking at him, I think he can help you in certain matchups, and tonight was one of those matchups, and they didn't really use him. I thought he could have helped on the glass, obviously, handle some of that physicality down low, and Notre Dame took their lumps with that for sure, but found a way, and I think the Zona thing would have been a much bigger story if they had dropped this one. So last guy I have to talk about is Trey Wertz, 5 points, 2 of 3, 1 of 2 from 3, and I think Trey's really finding his touch from the outside. 1 for 2, 50%, not all that bad, and just seems to be more confident shooting it, and made a huge play down the stretch late to put him up. I think it was, what he put him up, 57, 55 or something like that, which ultimately kind of turned the tide for Notre Dame after a big Louisville run, and that play should not be understated how big that was. And solid outing for Trey Wertz. I don't know that you're ever going to get a Purdue-level Trey Wertz performance like we saw this year, but if he can give you solid outings like this, I think the turnovers, I don't know off the top of my head how many he had, but I feel like I remember him turning it over a little bit. That's not ideal, but overall not a horrible performance for Trey, and hey, Notre Dame found a way to win, and he was definitely a big part of that, especially with that layup late. But I think I hit on everything I wanted to hit on. And my bad if I stuttered or anything. It's been a long night, and wanted to let you guys know I will not be covering the Clemson game Saturday. Going to take that one off, have a church retreat, and want to focus on that. But I'll be back next Wednesday for BC, and I'm looking forward to it. Good win for Notre Dame tonight. Would have been a bad loss, and I think it's more about avoiding the bad loss than it is getting the big win for Notre Dame this year, and that's why they're in the field right now. Obviously, the Kentucky win helps them, but if you drop games like this, and I can't even think of Pitt, if you drop games like this in Pitt, which would really kill your resume, then you're not in great shape at all. But Notre Dame's avoided the bad loss outside of the BC game, and tonight was an example of that, and they got to keep doing that down the stretch here. BC is one of those. Pitt's going to be one of those, and then there's probably a few others, but Georgia Tech. But Notre Dame's going to have to keep avoiding the big loss, keep getting the stop when they need it, and keep hitting the clutch shot. And they've done that so far, and there's no reason to think they won't continue to. So thank you guys for watching. I'll be back Wednesday, and I appreciate you guys sticking through if you're still here. Thank you guys. Go Irish. Peace.